Hi and welcome back to my channel. In this video I'm going to be looking at will they reach out and when. There are 3 groups to choose from. Group 1 is the Serpentine. Group 2 is the purple Fluorite. And group 3 is the blue Kyanite. So if you want to take a moment to center, focus on your breathing, and feel whichever group, maybe multiple groups, or perhaps all of the groups that you're most drawn to, I'll give you a minute to make your selection and then we'll get right into it. And there are timestamps in the description box of the video for each group if you'd like to jump ahead, which I do recommend using so that you can skip over me shuffling cards in between groups to clear the energy of the group I've just read for and tap into the energy of the group I'm about to read for. So again, I'll give you a minute. Please use the timestamps and we'll get into your reading. Hi, Group 1. You chose the Serpentine. So I'm going to start with some tarot and some oracle cards to see will they reach out. Get an idea about when and if this will happen for you. Okay, so we have the Queen of Wands, so you might be dealing with a fire sign, Aries, Leo, or Sagittarius. Queen of Pentacles, which is Earth energy, Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo. Three of Cups, which is water energy, Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio. The Sun, which is Leo energy. Two of Swords, air energy, Aquarius, Gemini, and Libra. Two of Cups, so more of that water energy. Lotus flower, unfoldment. Tsunami, wake-up call. Music, harmony. Memory. Play. And soar. So with tsunami, this looks like somebody who has had some kind of an epiphany. Also with lotus flower and this idea of unfoldment. Somebody who might have been really kind of suppressing their feelings, denying their feelings for you, kind of operating in sort of a rigid or stuck energy with that Two of Swords, that stalemate. It feels that something has really shifted within this person. There is an energy of nostalgia also with memory, where they may have been reminded of you recently. They're thinking back as well with that energy of play on the good times that you shared, which ties in really well with this Three of Cups. Kind of the sense of having spent time with you in the past, the good memories, somebody who's wanting to kind of turn the page from any kind of stuck or stale situation that you find yourselves in, any kind of a stalemate, somebody who's wanting to create some kind of a fresh start in this situation with the Sun, kind of step out of this shadowy energy that you may find yourselves in and resume kind of a warmth in this connection. With this idea of soar, this can really talk about taking the connection to the next level in whatever way that resonates for you. That can be maybe unblocking communication and reestablishing that, starting to reestablish a friendship, kind of taking things slowly, building things gradually with this energy of kind of these twos here, the Two of Cups and Two of Swords, and then the Three of Cups. This is kind of just the very beginnings of something. Somebody who doesn't necessarily want to jump back in full force to where things were at previously, or that they are aware on some level that it's going to take some time to rebuild some trust in this circumstance. That with this idea of memory, there may be kind of some difficult conversations that need to take place. A wake-up call that they have had that may entail some kind of an apology which is owed. That it's going to take some work on both of your parts to kind of press beyond the difficulties that you have faced, to press beyond kind of the pressure that is now on this person to set the story straight, to make matters right. Again, deliver some kind of an apology that is owed, open up the lines of communication so that, difficulties can be faced head on as opposed to continuing to be avoided. With this idea of Queen of Wands and Queen of Pentacles, this can really talk about a maturation of feelings that has taken place, that in the silence, in this kind of period of separation, there has been some growth that has occurred that ties in really well with this idea of wake-up call and tsunami, where again, feelings that they might have really suppressed or denied, perhaps even with the Two of Cups, this idea of you being a soulmate or being their twin flame, being their counterpart, being the yin to their yang, that might have been kind of a reality that they weren't necessarily prepared to bring fully into their existence, into their reality. Somebody who wasn't prepared in the past to necessarily settle down or take things to the next level, and so might have, pulled away or run away from you, or sort of pushed you away, tried to extinguish this connection. Someone who might have made efforts to, kind of douse out the flame in their heart that had really been sparked for you. They've been largely unsuccessful in this endeavor, that these feelings have grown in that absence, in that separation. With this idea of Queen of Pentacles, this earthy energy here, a lot of signs and synchronicities that they have been getting. They may have tried to kind of distract themselves from the connection by focusing a lot on work. Somebody who might have even tried to kind of sort of logically talk themselves off of this ledge of taking a leap of faith in your direction, trying to come up with all the reasons why this situation wouldn't work, why this would be too good to be true, why, the harmony that you two might share in time would kind of dissipate and would lead to, just this energy of conflict. All of these different methods that they have tried to ignore this connection, to stifle this connection, to extinguish this connection, to distract themselves from this connection, have proved largely ineffective, and that they have kind of moved beyond internally some way of dealing with this, or some way of kind of conceptualizing the potential that exists between the both of you, and that they are recognizing now. They've kind of taken their defenses down, they've taken their walls down, at least internally. They're willing to entertain this connection now, from a more lighthearted energy. This is somebody who's focusing on kind of the positive aspects of this connection, the potential that exists here, the good feelings that they shared with you, as opposed to looking at all the reasons why things wouldn't work, or focusing too much on, maybe memories of some kind of point of contention or conflict that the two of you had, some kind of fears that came up that caused them to kind of, with the Two of Swords, put their kind of barriers up, their walls up. And so in terms of, will they reach out? This does look like somebody who, is wanting to make that communication, who is kind of maybe going to appear very suddenly, very surprisingly, with this idea of kind of a lotus flower. And it's giving me this idea of a flower that's been very tightly closed that all of a sudden just bursts open. All of a sudden there's communication, where it's been kind of dead air for a period of time. This might be something also with tsunami, with this idea of kind of a buildup, kind of a pressure, kind of a change in the atmosphere, where you might really be sensing that, things are stirring, movement is getting ready to happen. But it's this idea of not being certain quite how that's going to manifest, what that's going to look like, when that's going to come around. And so again, this idea of kind of this buildup, a lot of signs that you might be getting that this person is kind of circling back around towards you, or, seeing their name, for example, a lot, coming up with a lot of memories that are bringing you back to times that you shared together, maybe hearing a lot of songs that remind you of this person, a song that you two kind of shared in common that was like your song, or just getting a lot of kind of messages and confirmations and synchronicities through music at this point in time. All of these kind of subtle sort of signals and clues that are indicating that there is a shift that is occurring. There's some kind of a phenomenon that is getting ready to take place in here. And with this idea of kind of the Three of Cups, and this idea of sort of community and coming together, that ties in really well with this idea of harmony on the music card. This can again speak to the two of you really opening up those lines of communication, this person approaching with kind of an olive branch, some kind of an apology, coming towards you in a very sort of lighthearted energy with play in the sun, somebody who, is coming to you in a very humble energy, somebody who is not approaching you, in a stance of defensiveness, but somebody who is really, kind of taken some time to process and kind of let their guard down, who comes to you with open arms and this desire to, maybe rebuild a foundation of friendship first. Somebody who, in the past, it could have been sort of unrequited, unreciprocated. Maybe this was kind of an imbalanced connection in the past where you were giving more than this person was able or willing to give back at the time. But with this idea of Two of Cups, this is somebody who, is kind of reached a stage in their life and in terms of how they are really feeling into this connection where they finally feel that they have something to give. Again, some kind of an apology, some kind of a declaration, some kind of display of affection that they may have really held back on in the past, or somebody who comes towards you with this desire to build toward that once again, to reestablish that intimacy. Somebody who is, at a place in their life where they are able to appreciate and receive the love that you have to give and has something of substance and value to offer in return. Somebody who is interested in, mutual exchange of that cup of love, as opposed to, just kind of one person taking and the other person, being the one that's giving or over giving in this circumstance. With these three crows here on this card on play, it's tying in for me with this idea of the Three of Cups here. And so this could be something where this person reaches out through a mutual friend, or you see them at some kind of a community gathering, maybe at a party, a wedding, something, maybe you're out with friends and you happen to run into this person. And this feels very much like somebody who's manifesting this communication through investing all of this energy in thinking about and desiring a fresh start. And so they might not take that kind of action. For some of you, they will reach out of their own volition with this idea of, kind of a wake-up call. This could be somebody who, calls you or texts you, somehow reaches out via the phone or online, something of that nature. But it also feels there's a strong energy of somebody who almost manifests this opportunity. They run into you in public, in a community setting. If you don't live in a physical proximity to this person, this could also be somebody who stumbles across you online, or has kind of this opportunity through some sort of mutual community, maybe some kind of forum or on some kind of a platform where they're directly aware of your presence and are then really just kind of given that kind of push or that motivation to make some kind of a communication. This is somebody who takes advantage of that opportunity. Somebody who is not going to see you and run the other way. Somebody who's not going to be face to face with you and is going to stonewall you, as they may have continued to do over the course of time in the past with that Two of Swords. Somebody who brings down those walls, brings down those barriers, offers something. It feels like a small something, again, with kind of all this energy of 2 and 3, and it feels like just the beginnings, just that olive branch. Somebody who's kind of testing the waters, somebody who's not necessarily going to jump full force back into this because they are almost feeling that you have a lot of ground to cover. There's been a lot that they have discovered within themselves in the time since you've been apart. Maybe even a lot of time has elapsed, and so naturally you're going to need to kind of get to know each other again. You're going to need to kind of spend time with one another, catch up on this idea of memory of kind of what's happened in your lives individually in the time since you were last with one another, since you were last kind of in communication. But with this idea of soar, this does indicate this is somebody who is reaching out to you, what they are expressing to you, the energy they are presenting to you in is a higher vibration than what you'd been dealing with in the past. Somebody who is very fearful is now kind of in this vibration of courage and being more self-assured than they were in the past. Somebody who again is really manifesting this opportunity, who is taking this passion that they have, this desire, this understanding, and kind of this level of comfort that they have grown into as far as their feelings about you, how these things have developed over time. And through focusing on that, through coming into a space of comfort within themselves, it is magnetizing in opportunities in a physical 3D sense, where the time then feels right. It feels like the right opportunity, or literally they are face to face with you and that there's no time like the present. So in terms of timing, again, with this idea of tsunami, this feels that it'll be very sporadic and sudden. It could be a very sudden and impulsive decision that this person has to reach out to you, something that you kind of feel building, but at the same time, when it happens, it catches you kind of by surprise. It catches this person by surprise. If this is someone that you run into in kind of a group or community setting, out in public, out socializing, again, it kind of catches the two of you by surprise when this happens. But this is somebody who makes the most of that opportunity, who takes advantage of that. It feels that this is not in the very distant future, that you both are in this process of kind of manifesting this opportunity for yourself. Kind of with this energy of the twos and the threes. This really, to me, is tying into kind of this idea of like 2 to 3 weeks or 2 to 3 months. Like it's very much in this kind of immediate energy right here, as opposed to far off on the horizon. For some of you, this could even be 2 or 3 days. It could be that soon. This is a timeless reading, so whenever you're watching this, this definitely applies. Take the messages as they resonate, but the day that I am recording this reading is Wednesday. So 2 or 3 days, that would, in real time, that would be the middle of, the traditional weekend. That would be Saturday, to be exact, Friday or Saturday. So for some of you, this could again be a very immediate kind of occurrence where you run into this person this weekend, whatever the next, whenever you're watching this, whatever this weekend, however that's defined for you, might be significant. Or for others of you, it's kind of this idea of 2 to 3 weeks, 2 to 3 months, very much in kind of this this nexus of the immediate future for you, very unexpected, very much a surprise. And also I feel a surprise because of the changed energy that this person shows up in, which could be quite different from kind of the memory of your last interactions together. It feels like something, in an opportunity to, really bury the hatchet with one another, to exchange that olive branch, to really start to work to close out a lot of difficulties that you have faced together. A lot of answers are provided. It feels like, as much as you might have been kind of tense or uncertain about what that would look like, and they also kind of feeling that, what that kind of reunion, what seeing one another, what kind of opening those lines of communication, what that would lead to or what that would look like, that with this idea of harmony and the 3 of Cups and even the 2 of Cups, this and the Sun, there's a sense of the two of you almost kind of laughing at how nervous you were about this occurrence, about this kind of point on the horizon, that when this occurs, it's a very positive experience with one another. Even just vibrationally, you accomplish a lot with one another. It puts a lot of fears to rest. It really serves a greater purpose in terms of creating some peace within the two of you to be able to, have a better idea of what's necessary to move beyond this point, to kind of work through these difficulties, to kind of close out a difficult chapter that you have had together. A lot of this kind of stuck feelings or disappointment that the two of you have carried around on how things went before. That in some way, this is the energy of kind of a fresh start, turning the page in this situation, and really with this idea of soar, kind of the words that are spoken, the communication that happens, this really helping to, propel or open the potential of a new kind of interaction with one another, the next level of interaction with one another, or a different way of kind of dealing with one another than you had in the past. So I'm going to get some messages from this person's higher self for you now, group 1, and see what do they want to tell you. Okay, and they say, you are the one. So this ties into the idea of things that they have learned while they are away. This idea of recognizing you as a counterpart, recognizing you as somebody who is very valuable to them, who is very important in their life, missing that kind of harmony that the two of you shared at one point in time, that this has been heavily on this person's mind, this realization, this guardedness they once might have had, or denial of their feelings, that this has kind of been relinquished within themselves, which is helping them to magnetize this opportunity, or to step more into that place of courage to reach out to you. They also say, I can't stop thinking of you. So again, this idea of you being heavily on their mind, and as that saying, energy goes where attention flows. So, they're thinking about you so much that the universe is kind of responding to that, and helping to create this opportunity, this window, this portal where the two of you are then face to face, or the circumstances feel right. That kind of internal nudge happens for this person, perhaps very spontaneously, that now's the time, the climate is ripe to take action, to reach out, to make some kind of a communication, to make the effort on their part to turn the page. A recognition that they have that in some way the power lies in their hands to evolve this situation. And it's something they have been ruminating about. It's something they've been fantasizing about. It's something that they've been investing a lot of mental energy into, what that would look like, what they would say. Somebody who's been kind of rehearsing that. If given the opportunity, this is how they would do things. And kind of the frequency and the intensity with which they are thinking about this, it's almost been setting that intention very unconsciously, which then the universe is responding to. And they also say you deserve more. So this can tie in with the idea of an olive branch that they are wanting to offer you, knowing that the way things ended between you in the past was unfair, that there's unfinished business. There's a lot more that needs to be said and communicated. They don't want to have that, whatever that last interaction was between you, they don't want to have that be the end of the story. They know that in the past, they may have held back from you, held back emotionally, and there's this recognition that they were not being true to their heart, they were not being true to their desires. They may have allowed fear to kind of propel them in the opposite direction of what they truly wanted, of investing or continuing to invest in this connection. And there's a sense of recognition that they were very unfair to you, maybe even in the method and way in which they cut things off very abruptly. Blocking communication, not being open to really talking things through, or, seeing things from your perspective. And so they're understanding that, again, some conversations may need to take place. This may be trust that is having to be reestablished gradually, but this is somebody who, is currently in the process of thinking, if given the opportunity, this is what they would do different. And we also have guarded. So they could not be discussing this with other people, keeping this very secret, kind of this secret longing, this secret wish. There's a fear as well that might be holding them back from directly kind of communicating, which might lead to why the universe kind of steps in and creates this perfect recipe for the two of you to speak, to be face to face with one another, or something that comes to this person's attention where they recognize, now's the time they need to reach out, or kind of forever hold their peace. They might have been sort of holding back from you up to this point. This feels like someone who's come to this recognition, not recently, but they've been sitting with this for a while. There's been a sense of uncertainty about how you would receive them, a cognizance that they have about how they might have treated you unfairly, or that they could have done things better in the past. And so kind of fear of rejection has been holding them back up to this point. And they also say you are hard to forget. So that is more of that energy of that they can't stop thinking about you, investing a lot of emotional and mental energy into this situation, into the desire for reconciliation, which is helping to make that possible. They also say no one else matters now. So if there'd been a third-party situation in this, this can be a confirmation from this person's higher self that they have disconnected from that third-party situation, or are in the process of kind of disconnecting from that. There may have even been an issue with, being kind of concerned in the past about what people would think about this connection. Maybe the two of you being from very different backgrounds, being very dissimilar on the outside, or for appearances' sake, and a little bit of kind of fear or hesitation about how would this connection look. Maybe there's some kind of an age difference, or again, some kind of a cultural difference between you, or, just differences in circumstances, or things that from the outside this person had perceived as being kind of incompatible, maybe questioning how friends and family would receive this connection. And so they kind of chose that route of fear in the past. But this is somebody who's kind of transcended that, who has transcended relying upon the opinions of others and is starting to rely upon the opinion of their own heart. They also say, I regret how I handled things before. So again, with that idea of you deserve more, this person knowing an apology is owed. They may have just left you with a lot of unanswered questions, the way in which they cut things off, or even choosing that kind of path of fear of what other people would think, fear of how this would look, maybe choosing to kind of settle back, or, continue to remain in a relationship that was kind of stagnant and stale past its expiration date. Something that wasn't really challenging for their growth on the soul level, but just kind of fit in a very practical sense, and didn't really kind of encourage this person to introspect, to strive for more, but to just kind of settle in some way. And the choice to do that, to remain in that comfort zone, it's something which has left this person with kind of a feeling of emptiness, a feeling of regret at, maybe having made the wrong choice, or, being very, again, unfair or very abrupt, blocking communication, cutting things off, not giving you both the opportunity to kind of talk things through, but just sort of making a decision for the both of you, and that being that. And they also say, it's hard for me to explain things. So a little bit of fear there as far as an apology that is owed, that might have really caused some hesitation in this person, knowing that they need to say something, that they need to apologize, fearing rejection, not being sure even how to put to words what motivated them in the past, how to really articulate that fear that kind of held them back from continuing to pursue the connection, or held them back from following their heart or expressing their feelings more deeply and consistently. So I'm going to get some guidance for you now about the situation. Okay, and we have seed spells. Create your story. It is the most potent form of magic. So this is really talking about the intentions that you are setting, and what you are investing your thoughts into, you will manifest. So if you've been really focusing on kind of the difficulties of this situation, focusing on, this person never figuring things out, never making things right, you've been just investing a lot into that. It feels that in some way that is kind of contributing to sort of a stuck energy that's been felt, it's been received by this person, it is kind of manifested in this guardedness, this fear. They can almost sense your hesitation or your confusion. And that has been kind of creating, again, this sense of guardedness within them in terms of not stepping forward, or it taking some time for them to really, kind of move beyond their own kind of walls of fear and hesitation. So the guidance then is to, really maybe seek to rewrite the narrative that you have been going over subconsciously or consciously about this situation. Instead of looking at this like, this person will never return, the situation will never get better, they'll never figure things out, I guess I'm never going to get the apology that I I am owed, or that I feel that I deserve. Opening yourself up to the possibility of miracles happening, opening yourself up to the possibility, and really seeking to deeply ingrain within yourself that the manner and timing in which things play out in this circumstance is for the highest good of all. There's something to be learned from these circumstances. Divine timing is always a factor, and the things that we want can often manifest in a different way than we had imagined. And so kind of taking that wider stance, looking at things not in terms of, well, it didn't show up exactly when and how that I wanted it to, but kind of scratching beneath the surface and finding the blessing in circumstances. That this period, this time apart away from this person, it has gifted you both the opportunity to deeply introspect, to come to your personal truths without being, pressured or kind of forced to make a decision, to come to that very organically. And kind of setting these very sort of wide open parameters for what it is that you are hoping to manifest, not necessarily a specific person or specific time frame, but just in a very general sense of, these are the things you want to experience in a connection, the openness, the reciprocity, the honesty, and then seeking to make sure that you are embodying these qualities in other relationships that you have. You're becoming that vibration that you are seeking. You have the ability to, take the lessons that have been learned in this experience in the past with this person and allow that to make you stronger and wiser, allow that to, help you enhance your own discernment as opposed to really shut down and close off. And so in terms of this person really, reaching out, there's an opportunity for the two of you to also rewrite this story. So some encouragement to be a little bit open-minded to that, to understand that if this is somebody reaching out or even kind of making that effort to, speak to you, if they're running out in public, that in a certain way, this is taking a lot of courage on this person's part. Honoring that, at the same time honoring your own boundaries and your own needs, and really looking at this as a position where you two can rebuild things gradually in a better direction, in a more solid way than things had existed between you previously, and really taking an active role in co-creating what you want to experience with this person moving forward. So I'm going to get some initials for you now, and this can be first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or it could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Okay, and we have R, P, H, J, Y, U, V, B, D, E, C, Z, O, S, and A. So those are your messages, group 1. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I also sell handmade jewelry, dreamcatchers, and suncatchers in my Etsy shop if you're interested in checking any of that out as well. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, group 2. You chose the purple fluorite. So I'm going to start with some tarot and oracle cards to see, is this person going to reach out? What's that going to look like? Some ideas of when that's going to happen. Okay, so we have the 10 of Wands, which is fire energy, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. The Hanged Man, which is Pisces. Two of Cups, which is water energy, Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio. Judgment, which is Scorpio. Nine of Cups, so more water energy. The Fool, which is Aries. Desert, Vision Quest. Lightning, Power. Stone People, Vigilance. Sacred Space. Perspective. And Survival. So with the Hanged Man and also this perspective with this upside down crow, double confirmation there of that Hanged Man energy, somebody who might be really held back by fear or even outside circumstances at this point in time from reaching out, somebody who has needed to take some time apart from you, from this connection, and the time apart has not been in vain. As much as they may have tried to really kind of resist this connection, resist some kind of awareness about who you are to them, the possibilities of, deep soul satisfaction with the Nine of Cups and the Two of Cups that is available to them in this circumstance. This idea of kind of needing this time away, needing this kind of lack of communication between the both of you, almost to like with Desert and Vision Quest, to go within, to find themselves, to gain that illumination, to come to this reality on their own very organically. With the idea of lightning, and this kind of epiphany, this aha sort of energy, along with Judgment, this card of awakening, even a spiritual awakening might have taken place within this person that has put things in perspective for them. There is a recognition of the significance of this connection. They have been somebody who, with the 10 of Wands, has been carrying this burden within them of, the more that they are leaning into this kind of energy of epiphany, this awareness, this kind of increased sensitivity and perspective to the significance of what they have experienced with you or what is available to experience with you. It's been something that has been very burdensome to them. A lot of regret that they have been carrying around, a lot of self-blame as well, for maybe not having the courage to take a leap of faith with the Fool in the direction of exploring this connection more fully with you in the past. That with this idea of stone people, they might have really just stonewalled you, blocked off communication, left you in that hanged man energy of feeling, that there wasn't a lot you could do in order to get through to this person. A situation that has really forced the two of you with this idea of sacred space and also that vision quest to really go within, to get these answers from within, to commune with yourself at a soul level, to commune with your higher self, to commune with your spirit team and your angels, and a lot of divine intervention taking place here for the two of you in this period of separation or no contact, where some kind of an awareness has happened for this person. With the idea of survival, this can really talk about fear and ego, and some kind of an explanation that they want to provide to you, but with this idea of stone people, they're not sure how to do that. They have this internal awareness, but at the same time, this is somebody who's still operating in that kind of survival mode, those survival mechanisms, and the intensity and the nature of this connection. Maybe again, some kind of a spiritual awakening that has taken place, some kind of kundalini activation within this person. It's very much outside of their comfort zone. This could have been very kind of overwhelming to them, made them feel almost threatened because it was so outside of the ordinary of what they had come to know the nature of relationships to be. A lot of things maybe starting to fall away or had started to kind of fall away from their life. They felt very burdened by what they were experiencing energetically from this connection in the past that caused them to kind of withdraw, to go, to put up this stony exterior with you, to really, again, be with this idea of desert, very emotionally withdrawn, completely withdraw themselves from your life. You've not necessarily heard anything from them or about them, perhaps even in some period of time. It's this idea of kind of wandering through the desert, searching for that oasis, and just being very, the two of you very burdened by this, seeking answers and not necessarily finding them. Feeling this vastness and no way to really kind of escape that or transcend beyond that. But all of this being very necessary to, again, go within, instead of seeking answers externally, to find those kind of solutions internally for the two of you. And that this person's starting to really be cracked open to that from the inside. In terms of reaching out to you, it feels that they are still in this process of metamorphosis. They are still in this process of feeling that they don't really have options in terms of how to move back towards you, how to move back toward this connection. There is this awareness, this epiphany that has happened, that this connection is special. This connection is different from what they've experienced in the past with others, that you bring them a lot of soul satisfaction. They consider, as much as they might not show that or had kind of demonstrated just the opposite, they do consider this connection with you to be very sacred. They recognize that there is an otherworldly quality to this, that this defies all of their kind of preconceived notions or their experiences up to this point of the nature of partnership, the nature of interaction. A lot of energetic kind of interaction and exchange occurring between the both of you in this silence, in this separation, that they are, again, might have been kind of scared of or very disturbed by. It was very much outside of their comfort zone that caused them. It's almost this idea of kind of the clam sort of retreating into its shell. This person really closing off, not giving you a lot to go on, not giving you a lot of indications or confirmations that what you were experiencing energetically in this sense, in this connection, that they were experiencing this as well. So this feels like somebody who needs more time to kind of process that, to get from this point of, kind of fearing this new beginning with you, kind of moving in the opposite direction of releasing, ideas that they might have had about the nature of partnership or the nature of who they are, taking that leap of faith in the direction of this connection, that instead they moved in the opposite direction. They moved in the direction of fear, back into their comfort zone. But nevertheless, in that separation, in that kind of cold and silent energy, there's been a lot that has been happening beneath the surface. And this person is coming into this place of awareness, but they're still not certain yet what to do with that. How to really, they're still trying to make sense of all of that. This is somebody who is still trying to sort through some emotions within themselves, a lot of things that might be shifting and changing, a lot of endings, kind of a fallow period that they might be experiencing in their life, where even this idea of kind of their hands being tied, this could again be sort of, a lack of resources at this point in time, or opportunities having dried up, other relationships having crumbled and fallen away, to where this person is very much just, they're needing to be in their own energy. They've kind of been forced to go within, to introspect, to receive that divine guidance, to recognize and face some of these fears that they had really, allowed them to kind of pull them in a direction away from this kind of next level love and this next level experience with you. This idea of survival, they could be very much, a lot of their thoughts and energy are consumed with, how are they going to really survive in the world, needing to kind of rebuild their life with this idea of desert, maybe resources being very scarce at this point in time. And so somebody who's not investing a whole lot of thought into the possibility of renewal in this situation. They're coming to this deeper awareness within them, but it feels that their attentions are focused elsewhere. And so based upon that, this is not someone who is fully denying their feelings anymore. There's a recognition of that, but it feels like they have so many other things on their plate. They're needing to kind of do some maintenance in their exterior world, and also with that idea of sacred space. There's some maintenance that they're needing to do, an up-leveling, an ascension process that they are in, vibrationally speaking. It's almost a makeover internally and externally that is really the full focus for this person at this time. So it doesn't feel like somebody that will be reaching out anytime soon. This feels like somebody who, is very much, they have a lot on their plate in another sense, and a lot of other things that are going on. Thoughts of you in this connection and kind of this awareness that they're coming to, this might also be some kind of a refuge for them. This idea of maybe kind of an oasis for them, as there's all this other kind of chaos and all these other things that are kind of unfolding for them, a lot of endings, and kind of not necessarily being at that point of beginning yet. Just having a lot of roads closed for them, a lot of opportunities sort of dry up, a lot of pressure that they are experiencing, and kind of the thoughts of what you two shared in the past, the good memories, the times where things were going very well, that this is almost a welcome escape for them from their external kind of circumstances. So the ways in which they might reach out, it could just be energetically and from the higher self at this point in time, as the 3D reality for this person is being shaped and being formed. It does feel that their higher self will be making efforts, or will continue to make efforts to you, with this idea of kind of this hanged man energy. It's somebody who's reaching out, but in a way that is not what you might have expected. It's in a way that is maybe not what you are desiring or what you're wanting to hear. You're obviously, you're watching this, you're curious about this, you're wanting to hear that this person in a 3D sense is going to make some kind of communication, but it just really seems that there's a lot of other things that, are in the process of being kind of reshaped and reformed for them. With this idea of stone people as well, it's bringing to mind this idea of kind of erosion that is kind of dismantling some mountains or some landscape of their physical terrain, only to have kind of this newness kind of rise up from that. Where there was nothing, all of a sudden there will be something. And what they had known before as their reality is kind of being washed away. So in this process, while that 3D self, while that ego mind is kind of going through this experience, battling with themselves, with, having chosen the path of fear before, having made a conscious choice in that regard in terms of this connection, now there are circumstances where kind of the things that they were fearing or dreading the most have come to pass. These things have come to be a reality. They feel very powerless in a lot of this, in kind of this winds of change that are occurring for them. And so they have no choice but to sit in that, which is giving them this different perspective about, on the other side of fear, there is the potential for newness. Fear is something which must be kind of faced and moved through, allowing that to flow through oneself. And on the other side of that, authenticity exists, potential exists, and this is a process that person is moving through. So them reaching out, it feels very far in the future. There doesn't feel to be kind of a time frame that could be adequately addressed to that. A lot of endings that are needing to happen, kind of this period of, it's almost the idea of kind of a life review that this person is going through at this point in time, where a lot of things that might have weighed heavily upon them with this 10 of Wands, this energy of burden, that these things are kind of falling away, and they're finding themselves in this kind of stuck period where there's not a lot that they can do except for kind of witness the change that is happening. They are being introduced to the raw power of divine intervention at this point in time in their life. It is clearing the way for this person to get back to basics in a major way, to really evaluate what resonates with them at a soul level. What do they want to experience more of in their life versus, kind of what had they been participating in and what had kind of fallen away that really just sapped their full potential of, experience here in the earthly realm. And so through this process of metamorphosis, again, their higher self reaching out to you, making that communication, checking into you or with you, to just kind of let you know that they're still there, but they're in this process of kind of change at this point in time. But in terms of the 3D person reaching out, it feels pretty far on the horizon, and that it's all subject to change. This is all divine timing is the best kind of definition ever in terms of timing. The choices that we make or that we choose not to embark upon can affect the outcomes that we experience. So this is somebody where, they can choose to kind of lean into this, flow through this process, move through these changes at a more rapid pace, or it's something where they can choose to be resistant and they're almost dragged along through this process. But a lot that's needing to be shaped within their own life so that they can kind of raise that vibration, come to more of that place of peace and certainty within themselves, so that, when the opportunity presents itself, or, when they've created some other kind of stability, they've gotten their footing, they've become accustomed to this new terrain that they are dealing with in their life and within themselves, that what they have to offer to you when they reach out, at a future point in time, that it's something where, it can help the two of you to ascend from wherever the connection had been previously. So yeah, in terms of rough estimate of when, it feels pretty far in the future. I'm hearing 6 months at the earliest, but it feels to be almost a year to several years. Not talking 10 years, but like a year or two. Pretty major changes that are happening for this person. A lot of upheaval, and again, this idea of kind of a new terrain that is establishing itself. But in the interim, the higher self reaching out and making this communication, checking in, letting you know that they're still there. You're still connected to this person, while all of this other stuff is kind of, being dismantled, only for kind of a new landscape to arise. So I'm going to get some messages from this person's higher self for you now, group 2, and see what do they want to say. Okay, and they say, I don't want to miss my chance with you. So as this person is kind of being rocked back and forth between all of these changes that are stirring, there is this glimmer of hope that on the other side of that, this kind of gradual process of surrender, that it can lead to a beautiful new beginning between the two of you. Somebody who might have been very fearful of this connection in the past, very fearful in general as they kind of move through the world and move through their life. They're starting to see kind of where fear led them to this place where so much is being upended. And they're starting to really kind of gain that perspective of choice, that, you know, the road of trust, the road of love leads to a different type of destination, a different type of experience than what they had generated for themselves. And they also say excited. So as tumultuous as this experience is for this person, it feels that they are starting to see little kind of glimmers of hope for a future that is different. A lot that is kind of falling away from them internally, from their life, kind of a change in perspective, this idea of divine intervention. It feels that they are still kind of in the midst of this storm, but there may be these little trickles that are coming in of what's being lost being replaced by greater satisfaction. Even if it's, things that are falling away and they're able to come to this place of peace within themselves, this place of certainty, this place of perspective. Masks that are being taken off of people or circumstances they were heavily invested in. And as difficult as that is to face, kind of that sense of relief for, at least knowing the truth, at least having that clarified perspective, which then grants them the ability to truly make a free will choice to continue to invest in these things or to move in another direction. And so there's a degree of kind of excitement in terms of a giddiness and also a little bit of trepidation. What lies on the other side of this? This kind of newness that is coming forth, that is being birthed in them and in their life, and it being so outside of the comfort zone and kind of the novelty of that. It's a fresh experience for this person, but also this uncertainty about, what remains, what is left after everything comes crumbling down. They also say, suddenly all the songs I hear are about you. So this ties in with this idea of perspective, that hanged man energy, and somebody who is really starting to gain some clarity, seeing things with fresh eyes about who you are, what you mean to them, kind of the larger implications of the choices that they made in the past in this connection, choosing the path of fear as opposed to the path of love. This person could be getting a lot of inspiration in songs. Again, this sense of, maybe thoughts of the good times that you two shared, the harmonious times that you had before things really went awry, this being a source of sanctuary for them, maybe putting on their headphones, listening to songs that remind them of you, or love songs, or just something to kind of shift their vibration out of whatever else it is they're needing to kind of focus on in their material world, something that they're not at the place of being ready to communicate or convey to you, but nevertheless it is that kind of that island, or that oasis for them, kind of that refuge away from the storminess that is occurring. And we also have secret. So again, the changes that are taking place, they're not making these things known. This really carries the energy of what you see displayed or not displayed. If this is, you have no idea what is going on with this person, or from the outside, it looks like nothing is changing. There's a lot of turmoil and turbulence that is going on within them. Their perspective is being shifted. Blinders are being taken off, or it almost feels, I'm hearing, ripped off of this person, where they can no longer live in kind of ignorance and denial of the way they had been kind of operating, or kind of the larger themes of choices that they had made in their life and in this connection in the past. They also say, I am overcoming my fears. So that ties in with that survival card, and somebody who had really chosen the path of fear in the past, the path of, the comfort zone, what was known, what was familiar, what was predictable, what had the lowest kind of cost or expense to it in terms of, the challenge to move outside of one's comfort zone. And what that has kind of led to for this person, they may be, may have fallen on hard times, even in terms of opportunities really drying up for them, which has helped them to kind of see from a different perspective the true intentions of the people that they have had around them. People who, maybe they are discovering were only fair weather friends, or who didn't have their best interests in mind. People whose opinions maybe that they valued, that when push came to shove, these people, were very quick to kind of remove themselves from this person's life, or to not be that support system when they were, when they needed them the most. And so all of that, it feels that this person is really being forced to kind of move into this place of autonomy, kind of that fear maybe of being alone, or that fear of loss that they had been seeking to avoid by filling their life with superficial things that were easy to accomplish, that were predictable, that were able to be controlled, or fell within kind of the range of their control or their perception of control. And as these things have fallen away, it's almost like those fears, the things they were seeking to avoid, they are now being confronted with. And that confrontation being very harsh, very uncomfortable, very difficult to deal with, but very necessary in order to shift this person vibrationally and in terms of their physical reality into something that is more in alignment with their authenticity. And we also have old flames. So this can talk about reminiscing about the times that you shared a missed opportunity in this circumstance. The flame of love that they have for you has never gone out. It feels, again, a source of warmth, something that they reflect upon during these kind of circumstances of change that are happening in their reality. And we've got anxious. So that was coming up with that idea of trepidation, ties in with the excitement. They are both, eager to experience what life has in store for them on the other side of kind of this storminess, but at the same time, there is this uncertainty. It's setting off into the unknown. These are experiences or thoughts or vibrations that they have been systematically denying up to this point in time. And so it's very much outside of what is known, what is comfortable for them. And, there's this almost, their confidence is really being challenged. They are really being forced to kind of move beyond the boundaries of their own perceptions of capability, to endure more than they thought they were capable of, to hold fast and to hold true to this courage and this whatever grains of optimism that they have remaining in them at this point in time, as kind of the universe and life is sort of shifting circumstances for them that they had maybe resisted changing for themselves up to a previous point in time. It almost feels like divine intervention, kind of outside forces taking the lead in this circumstance to create the changes that this person was unwilling to do for themselves. And we also have twin flames. So this can be that confirmation for you if you resonate as a twin flame and you consider this person your counterpart, that they are going through some kind of an awakening. There's some kind of an awareness as well with that idea of old flames, twin flames, and Two of Cups. They're seeing you as this counterpart. They are recognizing that this connection is otherworldly, that this defies everything they have known about love in the past, and this is some of that fear that they are confronting, almost this wish fulfillment, this idea of kind of this next level or true love that they might have been yearning for inside, and when gifted that opportunity to explore that and experience that by the universe, they kind of pushed this away, or chose the predictable route, the safe route for themselves. This can also tie in with the idea of this 5D connection that exists between the both of you, where while the 3D changes are happening at the higher self level, they are in contact with you, the two of you really supporting one another through these changes from that higher realm, the changes that you have gone through in your life as well that were maybe instigated or sparked by this connection. Maybe you're a little further on in your ascension journey. You've already gone through this process of upheaval, these tower moments, this dark night of the soul. And this really talks about that while you were in that process, this person from their higher self level was supporting you, was anchoring you in some way through that. And now the roles are reversed. Now it is your opportunity to be that kind of anchor as well for this person at a higher self level while these changes are taking place within their 3D reality. And they also say, I'm ready for more than just texts. So this person is entering into a phase within themselves of becoming more expressive about their emotions to themselves. Somebody who might have been emotionally kind of guarded or withdrawn in the past. Somebody who, might have been vague or was not really comfortable talking about these things. Kind of this idea of texting, kind of that wall, that barrier. It's, texting or direct messages on social media can be intimate, but a phone call is even more intimate. Face-to-face contact is still a step further, and it feels that this person held back in a large way in the past. They kept those walls up, they kept those barriers up. They held a lot within them, and these walls are starting to crumble down. There's a lot that is shifting. This person is stepping into greater authenticity, finding themselves so that they can find the courage and the ability to speak their truth to you. So I'm going to get some guidance for you now about the situation. Okay, and we have the wild god. Go to the woods, to moss, to mud, to magic. So this is really talking about getting back to basics, understanding that this person is in a process of having their life dismantled and their internal life dismantled. This is a person who's in the process of dissolving a previous version of themselves in order to be reformed or reborn into kind of the next stage of their evolution. So this card is really advising you to, have some compassion for them during this phase of their experience. I know it can be kind of disappointing to hear in terms of if they're going to reach out and that being a little further down the road than you might have wanted to hear. But again, this kind of idea of perspective is very important here, to think back on your own experience with Dark Night of the Soul, with your tower moments, with your awakening, and how you leaned into that process, how you have leaned into your ascension journey, and kind of the arduous process of that, of resistance and flow, kind of that tandem journey, that tug of war with the universe, recognizing that that's where this person is at, and that time is really on your side in this circumstance. The time that this person needs to go through this gestation, this metamorphosis within them, it is helping to shape them into a more clarified version of who they are. It is helping to kind of unveil some of that authenticity that they had hidden from or had run from or had denied in the past. This is in essence, this person is being rewilded. And so again, shifting the perspective, not from, time being the form of punishment, but time being the gift, allowing this person the time to organically go through this process within themselves. Wheels have been set in motion. The divine has intervened in this circumstance and is working very closely with this person. This is a very necessary period of time. You might also benefit from, again, not just reflecting on your own experiences with that, gaining some perspective and therefore having some compassion for what they are going through, but also really kind of any sort of anxiousness or anticipation or disappointment you're feeling about this taking so long, and kind of this idea of, somebody sitting there and tapping their foot, looking at the watch and, being very irritated. What's taking so long? Why can't this hurry up? That, the remedy for that is you kind of getting back to basics in your own sort of life. Recognizing this person's in a period of change. What are some things that might be, might do with a spring cleaning or an autumn cleaning or whatever season it is when you're watching this video? This is a timeless reading, but just really doing that inventory on yourself. What are some things that you've outgrown? What are some cycles or phases you might have been kind of resisting that change? How can you help this person energetically by leaning into change in your own reality, letting go of what no longer serves, stepping out of that worn out skin and allowing this newness to kind of be birthed. The constant evolution, the constant ascension. It is a process that is never finished. It is ever evolving. And so really practicing that in your own life and in your own vibration, because you are so tied with this person energetically, your work encourages them. You help to set the example for this person to face the fear and move forward anyway. Again, if you're feeling very anxious or disappointed about these circumstances or even what came through in this reading, then meditation, spending some time in nature, just getting back to basics, in some way disconnecting from expectations of timing or how these circumstances can play out, can bring you into this very present moment, so that you're able to really focus on tasks at hand that are presenting themselves for you. that there's more to this journey and this experience than, you know, whatever this person is up to and their kind of time frame for things. There may be some things you've been kind of putting off or deferring, some work you might have been really called, some kind of mission or purpose that you've been called to embark upon, and you may have really been holding space, feeling that it was contingent on this person participating. And the guidance is to really do what you can with what you have where you are. It's never too soon to start on this, these endeavors, especially that work, you know, within ourselves. The greatest work of art that we can ever create is ourself, the authentic version of ourself, revisiting that and reshaping that constantly. And so this might be a very good time for you to do that, to kind of shift your priority, shift your focus, allow this person the time and space, and trust that the divine is working very intimately with this person to kind of nudge them and push them along this path. Wheels have been set in motion. Things are already starting to crumble. Other things are already starting to really be created. And, you know, you're really being tasked to just trust in this process and trust in the timing as the highest good of all. So I'm going to get some initials for you now. This can be first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or it could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Okay, and we have G, Q, M, J, Y, U, Z, H, P, W, L, O, R, F, N, X, and V. So those are your messages, group 2. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I also sell handmade jewelry, dreamcatchers, and suncatchers in my Etsy shop if you're interested in checking any of that out as well. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, group 3. You chose the blue Kyanite. So I'm going to start with some tarot and oracle cards to see, is this person going to reach out, what that might look like, and when this is going to happen. Okay, so we have the Five of Wands, which is fire energy, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. Three of Pentacles, which is earth energy, Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo. The Lovers, which is Gemini. The Fool, which is Aries. Queen of Wands, so more fire energy. Eight of Wands, more fire energy. Rain, purification. Spring equinox, rebirth. Green Man, synergy. Memory. Risk. And distraction. So this feels like somebody who is really fighting the urge to reach out. With that this over here, the Eight of Wands, this card of communication, next to the Five of Wands, this energy of conflict. Somebody who's going back and forth, kind of right on the brink of saying something. Somebody who could be drafting texts or emails, or getting ready to dial your phone number, or even come over to your house, go somewhere where they know that they would run into you. And they kind of, they get in the car, they do that drive, they get to your street only to turn around and go back home. They draft, this very long text or this very long email, and they get ready to hit send only to save it into the draft folder or to delete it. It's somebody who's been on the brink of taking a risk, somebody who fears kind of the reception that they will get from you, somebody who fears that, and may have even just really built this fear up in their own mind. It's kind of taken on a life of its own, based on whatever happened between you in the past. Somebody who is uncertain how you are going to receive them, somebody who might not be certain if you are single, if you are available, or if your heart is open to them any longer. Somebody who has this desire to rebuild things, to reestablish some kind of a friendship, a foundation, to go back to basics and to start fresh, to reconstruct this connection, somebody who's ready to take a chance on love, take a chance on this connection, somebody who's thinking back on the times that they shared with you, and thinking very fondly of that, somebody who wants to clear the slate, clear the air between you with this rain, with this purification, and restart this connection with this idea of rebirth, somebody who, with this idea of synergy, wants to work with you, wants to partner with you, wants to take this risk to step outside of their comfort zone, somebody who's no longer distracted, somebody who is very certain of what they want, very certain of their feelings, very certain of nearing this point in their life, or being at this point in their life where they are ready to settle down, where they are cognizant of who you are to them, what this connection means to them, the potential that exists here, somebody who's ready to take that chance, ready to invest in this connection, to nurture this connection, to nurture the seeds that were planted in the past, somebody who has really done a lot of work to kind of clear away from, again, anything that might have distracted them from this in the past, including some kind of fear or hesitation. Somebody who, you might have built to a certain point with one another, and then they kind of got cold feet, pulled away very suddenly. This idea of somebody who's, kind of climbing a mountain and then stops and looks down, sees how, far that fall is, and kind of panics. Clutches on, is unable to keep going, that might have at some point in the past happened with this person in this situation. They panicked. They got scared. This connection was taking them outside of their comfort zone in a very beautiful manner. And it's something where, they allowed that fear to distract them. They allowed excuses to distract them, the potential of what could go wrong, or even some kind of memories of heartbreak from the past that had really been triggered or crept up at a certain point in this dynamic. The little voice in their head that was telling them, remember the last time you let yourself fall in love. Remember the last time you took a chance, and how that ended up. That heartbreak, that devastation, needing to rebuild your life in a variety of ways from the ground up. This could be somebody who is divorced, or again, somebody who had some kind of a substantial heartbreak that, was very devastating and catastrophic for them in a lot of ways, that they had not necessarily fully healed with. They had kind of carried this around as a form of baggage, kind of with this idea almost of the little knapsack with the fool, and that this person unconsciously had something they were bringing from the past into this connection. They were not ready with open arms and an open heart. They still had unfinished business with somebody else, some kind of story that they needed to kind of close up, an idea within themselves, wounds that had not healed or had not been tended to, that had interfered in this connection in the past, had been that wedge and that barrier, that this person in this period of separation and silence, they've taken the time to really get very clear about that, to close out some of those cycles, taking a risk, confronting those fears. Somebody who might have been very accustomed to that sense of heartbreak, and this could have been very difficult for them to relinquish that, to leave that behind, as uncomfortable as that was. It had become so familiar and known to them. But they have taken a risk of closing that out, of redirecting their focus within, seeing the truth, recognizing the truth of what they feel for you, what they've experienced with you, leaning into that space of trust that, the past need not repeat itself in the future. Somebody who has closed out a lot of other chapters in their life and is now at a place of being ready for a rebirth in this situation, is more in that energy of balance within themselves, having come to terms with some shadows, with some triggers, somebody who even has, done enough soul searching, or, has invested in some self-help practices, meditation practices, getting in touch with their spirituality, with their spiritual side, maybe even getting some counseling or therapy for some people, where they've come to a place of acceptance, of really loving themselves for, both their kind of virtues and their deficits. Somebody who has reached a place internally in their journey where, they're at peace. They're at a place of acceptance with the disappointments that happened in the past. Somebody who is willing to look toward the future with optimism. Somebody who has kind of released this burden, who has now made the choice to leave something behind, to no longer distract themselves with kind of fiddling with the ghosts of the past or ruminating on these memories, somebody who has rewritten the story for themselves in some manner, somebody who has now stepped into this energy with the Fool and the spring equinox of being ready for this rebirth, coming back to this innocence within self, recognizing that, no matter what their age or their circumstances before, that there still is life left to live, there still is love left to experience for them. Again, the past need not dictate the future. And so somebody who may also, with this Eight of Wands, have been really rehearsing in their mind what they want to say. Again, this idea about kind of drafting things, making those kind of initial steps, almost coming up to ring your doorbell only to kind of run away again, kind of at that brink, sort of that, still those last vestiges of kind of fighting that fear, wanting to get the timing right, checking the weather, checking the soil, checking the climate, checking the atmosphere, seeing are all the conditions right. Somebody who might just be even over planning to a certain extent, and is needing to kind of step into that place of release, understanding there's no time like the present, there's no risk, or there's no reward without risk, rather. And that they are getting closer and closer to that, kind of somebody who's orbiting around, and each time they kind of reach that point of contact only to kind of pull back into the fear, and then they loop back around. That circle is closing. They are nearing that point of, just throwing caution to the wind and taking that leap of faith, reaching out, come what may, expressing themselves, making themselves known, reintroducing themselves into your world, into your life. The divine leading them very much at this point in time, a lot of signs and synchronicities that this person is getting. Maybe even seeing the number 333 a lot, or seeing things in threes, 3 instances of seeing your name. Kind of a triplicate of signs back to back to back that are undeniable, that are unmistakable for this person, that are encouraging them to, really come into this place of balancing that fear with that trust and understanding that the divine and spirit is there guiding them forth, that they're not alone in this process, that in some way, it's kind of the stage that they find themselves at, it is bringing you both into this place of kind of coming into some deeper form of union than you already have at this point in time, something beyond the energetic, so that even if this is just opening the door to friendship again, or if this is leading to something more, this energy of love, rebuilding this romantic connection with one another, that in essence, you two birth almost a third energy through that energy of union, that heightened vibration that this person has been working to cultivate within themselves. They're sensing or are recognizing, perhaps through having observed you, asked around about you, heard about you, researched you, kind of somebody who's been, kind of lurking and again, watching and planning and strategizing, almost making their move only to kind of pull back. You may have been sensing this energetically from this person, them kind of coming forward only to sort of retreat again. That all of this has been a process of calibration within themselves, recognizing this vibration that you hold, efforts to where now they are able to sustain for a greater period of time than they had previously, that comparable vibration, that the time is right for you two to come together and open up this new vista of possibility, a new way of interacting with one another, a new depth of intimacy than you had experienced previously. So this does feel like somebody who, again, is planning on some kind of communication, is wanting to reach out, is not just leaving matters to chance, but is very proactive in this, is strategizing, is making the effort up to this point in time. It may take that final push from the divine, like, oops, they accidentally hit send on that message, and it's just kind of, it's there now, there's no taking it back, or, they're unable to, or unwilling to kind of pull themselves back from that ledge, and they make that walk up to your doorbell, ring the doorbell, and there they are, confronted with you in the flesh, or something where they make that inquiry, they dial your number in some way, they make that communication, they take that step into this next phase of possibility between the both of you. They take that risk. They throw caution to the wind, they disregard the fear that they have, and they recognize that the rewards far outweigh whatever is kind of promised to them, or whatever they are, receiving when they have chosen that path of fear. There's a sense of having lost the taste for that fear element, that each time they kind of pull back, it leaves them with a sense of discouragement, kind of like, what were they so afraid of? This doesn't feel as good, which kind of amps them up to kind of resuming that course back around to that point of, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to say something. I'm going to call this person, or make contact with this person, and kind of the velocity that builds and how good that feels, how right that feels, all the signs and synchronicities that are cheering them on and are saying, yes, keep going. This is the way. This is the path. In order, and then they kind of reach that point where then they're kind of dropping back into that fear element again, that fear vibration, and kind of left with that dissatisfaction, that tastelessness, which, each time they're doing this, they're getting closer and closer to that point of intersection. That fear is compelling them less strongly than it has previously. So this feels like somebody who's very much on the brink of change, kind of right around the corner. This could be something where you're hearing from this person within days or within weeks, very immediately, that there may be some kind of movement in this circumstance. Almost like, again, that leap of faith, where this has been a long time coming. This has been a long time building. And when that happens, it's very unexpected. It's right there. And it's something which has the ability, with these lush energies of the green man and spring equinox and the rebirth, it has the ability to really be that spark of life into some seeds which have been dormant in this situation for quite some time. It's the next chapter. It's the next phase. It's something where, this immediate contact, that initial point of contact between the both of you, breathes life into the fire which has never gone out with the Queen of Wands between the both of you. That love is very apparent. It's almost something where time may have passed, but you're picking right up where you left off in a very positive way. This person having changed substantially within themselves, able to meet you at a greater vibration, a greater capacity for reciprocity than they had in the past. Somebody who's willing to confront some of the kind of the difficulties that you had faced together in the past, willing to talk these things through, willing to take responsibility, willing to really work with you to see, what do we need to do to move past all of this? What do we need to do to have a fresh start in this situation? Somebody who's wanting to talk about what they've learned, what they've discovered, what they've worked on within themselves. Somebody who is bringing evidence of change rather than just empty words of change. It's something that you can feel. It's something that you can touch, something you can recognize. It's things that they have been working on and kind of nurturing and growing within themselves and within their own life. It'll be very apparent that something has changed within this person. This is not the same person you were dealing with previously. They have evolved in some way and are now able to sustain in a greater capacity and for a longer period of time that vibration that you are at and that is necessary for a fresh start and a more positive and productive experience with one another than you had in the past. So again, this feels like a very immediate energy. I'm drawn to this idea of spring equinox. This is a timeless reading, so whenever you watch this reading, take these messages as they resonate. But at the time I'm recording this, here in the Northern Hemisphere where I live, we are in the season of autumn. But in the Southern Hemisphere, they are in the season of spring. They've just entered that. So for my viewers who are in the Southern Hemisphere, this could resonate for you in that context as this very kind of immediate and tangible energy of now, of that springtime energy. For everybody in general, or rather, for people in the Northern Hemisphere where we're sitting in autumn currently, spring is several months away, like 6 months away until we get into spring. And so that can be kind of the outside realm of sort of when this happens, in that kind of you know, immediate in terms of less than a year. That would be at the outside, would be, you know, if we're sitting in autumn right now, then kind of like 6 months or whatever season it is when you're watching that. Just take kind of that outside, you know, kind of worst case scenario. The longest extension period of time as to when this will really develop would be that 6-month mark. But it, again, for everybody, this feels very near. This feels very immediate. This feels like something which, kind of like this any day now energy, that this can come through, you know, a matter of kind of days or weeks, even until this person really takes that leap of faith. They're right there at that edge. They're right there at that threshold. You might be dreaming about this person a lot, feeling them energetically, getting those same kind of signs and synchronicities in full force, in triplicate almost, just back to back to back, that change is happening, movement is happening in this circumstance. You may also have started to hear about this person again. If you know people in common, they are kind of coming up in conversation. Maybe this is somebody who is back in town after they've been away for a period of time, and you're just you're coming to this information, you're hearing about this, and all of these things can really be these confirmations, these signs of, you know, this change, this communication, this person reaching out, being right there, kind of right at the doorstep, right at the threshold of taking that leap forward and making that communication. So I'm going to get some messages from their higher self now, group 3, and see what do they want to say. Okay, and they say angry. So this really ties into this idea of somebody who is kind of in this internal conflict with themselves, being very hard on themselves, working up the courage, working up the nerve, working up that momentum to come towards you. This may have been going on for quite some time, only to kind of back out at the last minute, and they're getting very frustrated with themselves. This frustration is fuel, which is bringing them closer and closer to that point of communication and contact, and being willing to take that risk, that leap of faith, and just put themselves out there. And we also have guarded, so a little bit of fear there as far as how you will receive them. Are you going to be excited to hear from them? You know, a lot of these fears that they are kind of going over in their mind, it almost feels that they're building this up to be more than it is. Somebody who, you know, is getting very frustrated with themselves also about this. Their higher self kind of shaking them and saying, you know, take that action. You'll never know unless you try. And so these walls coming down, this guardedness coming down around this person, circling, you know, kind of making their way through this labyrinth to kind of exit that, to bring themselves out into the light, to kind of take this connection from wherever it was sort of frozen in time, frozen at that point in the past, and generate this momentum, generate this movement, so that the two of you can come out of this cycle of being very removed from one another, maybe only theorizing what's going on with one another, the work that you've done internally on yourselves, that now is the time to kind of come out of that hermit mode, to reconnect with one another, to let down those walls and that guard, in order to really take at face value the energy you are experiencing from one another, where finally you are in some kind of a place of synergy, in some kind of a place where you're seeing eye to eye, you're resonating with each other once again, but at a higher vibration than you had in the past. And they also say, my karmic story is ending. So the cycle of fear can be a karmic relationship for this person. Karmic relationships don't always need to, involve another human being. It can be kind of these patterns within ourself, these tendencies that kind of rear their ugly head in a multiplicity of circumstances. And so this feels like somebody that what they're being confronted with here, this is a tendency within them to kind of stop short of making their dreams a reality. And so this process, this kind of internal battle, working up the courage, getting closer and closer to that point where they just take that leap of faith, this is a very necessary closing out of a cycle for them. There is something being accomplished in this process of, confronting that fear, choosing to move in another direction only to be pulled back by that fear, to get frustrated and to push harder and to push harder to exceeding those boundaries within self. This can also tie into the idea of a karmic story, like a heartbreak of the past, a person they were stuck on from their past that had been almost the third wheel in the circumstance between you previously, energetically, even in spirit, just in terms of memory, in terms of some kind of a distortion that this person had developed surrounding love and loss and partnership, that they are in this active process of working through, of releasing that burden. They've released a lot of that, and kind of solidifying that, truly turning the page on that, is this process of reaching out to you, of restarting this connection, rebuilding this foundation, building in a better direction than you had previously, with just the two of you and the divine involved in this scenario, versus kind of the energetic residue left behind from, people from their past or people from your past who had kind of distorted or jaded your views about, romance and love and connection. And we also have daydreaming. So they are definitely thinking about what a fresh start will look like with you. As much as they might be kind of going over the worst case scenarios and these fears of rejection, there are also all of these beautiful thoughts about, this harmonious kind of reunion with one another, about you being very excited and happy to see them, things picking back up sort of where you left off, building in a better direction, an openness and an appreciation for this connection and for you that this person might have been lacking before, or that they were just kind of pulled in multiple directions, or again this idea of kind of a wedge or a barrier, either some tendencies within themselves or kind of some heartbreaks, some wounds that had never healed and that sort of interfered in the connection. They're dreaming of what, as satisfactory as the experience with you in the past had been, they're dreaming of how beautiful this experience can be in this freed energy, in this unencumbered energy, in this energy of confidence, of willing to and being able to invest more and more consistently in the connection than they had in the past. And they also say, our eye contact is insane. So somebody who wants to look you in the eye, be with you face to face, somebody who may reach out physically, come to your house, or seek you out in the flesh. If that's not possible, somebody who wants to, have video chats with you, is looking at photos of you, wants to exchange photos with you. Wants to look you in the eye, doesn't just want to continue to dwell in this realm of fantasy and daydreaming, but wants to take things to the next level. Somebody who, is very aware about this next level connection that the two of you have. Essentially that you speak to each other on the soul level, beyond the words that are spoken. There's, this communication between you that defies logic, it defies physicality, it defies time and space. It is two eternal souls communing with one another and coming into conjunction with one another, even through, eye contact, that it's very activating for them. It might have been very intense and overwhelming for them in the past, but they're thinking back with that idea of memories as well about, times when they looked you in the eye, and, really that level of intimacy that they've not been able to experience with anybody else, even, connections and people that they've known for a very long time, that no one's ever touched them at the soul level in the way that you have. And we also have regret. So they are feeling bad about not having reached out sooner, for having allowed so much time to pass, regret for having chosen the route of fear and moving away from this connection previously. And that regret is again fuel and motivation for this person to make change in the circumstance. And we've got honest, so somebody who wants to be very direct and open with you about their feelings, very honest about what they have been through, what they have learned and discovered about themselves, what they have changed about themselves, someone who wants to give this new opportunity a fair shot, somebody who wants to, be very direct and to rebuild in the energy of reciprocity with you, somebody who still holds a lot of love for you and has this desire to make this known to you. And we've got cold. So this ties in with that idea of guardedness and also a connection which has been frozen in time. They have continued to hold this flame of love for you despite the silence, despite how much time has passed, whatever lack of movement there has been. On the outside in this circumstance, there's been this vibrancy and this life that has continued within them. The flame for you has never been extinguished. Their love for you has never died. This is someone who wants to come out from the cold and re-enter your orbit, re-enter your world, maybe starting off as friends and kind of allowing that spark and that bond, that energy between the both of you to kind of propel you into a newness of romance together. They also say, I thought about reaching out, but I don't know what to say. So confirmation right there about someone who's been maybe planning, strategizing, drafting messages, rehearsing what they want to say, only to kind of back out at the last moment to save those things in a draft folder or delete them. That momentum and that courage is then confronted with some kind of fear that pulls them back, in this sense of, what if they are rejected? What if you don't feel the same? What if your heart's not still open? Just all of these what ifs that are kind of keep pulling them back from that ledge and that, taking that chance. But it's something that they're giving a lot of thought to. You might be really sensing this person energetically, or, they're popping into your mind at really weird times, really odd, unexpected times. You're dreaming about them a lot. All of this really the evidence that there's a lot of energy being invested in thought. Energy flows where attention goes. And so the more that this person has been kind of thinking about you and thinking about this, you're getting these signs, you're getting these indications, you're feeling them energetically, you're picking up on what they have not been able to say up to this point in the 3D sense. And we've got fantasizing, so that ties in with this idea of daydreaming, fantasizing about a fresh start, about what you can experience together, the depth that you can reach in this connection that had not been reached previously, fantasizing about what this will look like, reminiscing on how good things were previously between you, even just for a very short period of time, recognizing, some baggage that they kind of brought along with them, fear or kind of these memories of heartbreak and how that sort of interfered. That was a wedge that kind of pulled them away from continuing to move forward in this situation. And as they've healed a lot of these things within themselves, as they are releasing these things, there's this fantasy about how that sweetness will be even better when these other things, these distractions that were kind of encumbering the situation before, when the two of you are really able to open up to one another energetically and in terms of your lives, just this idea of, how good that felt before, and that it will feel so much better to be back in one another's world, back in one another's life, and to really experience the greater potential of what is possible here in this circumstance and what they had known previously. So I'm going to get some guidance for you, group 3, about this situation. Okay, and we have keep going. Trust in yourself. You have all you need. So this is a confirmation of this person continuing to push past these barriers of fear. As much as they might kind of lean towards you only to pull back, there is constancy in that energy of momentum. They are continuing to push forward. They are continuing to reach for you, to reach for this connection. You're encouraged to continue holding faith that in the time and manner that is most appropriate for both of your highest good, that change will happen in this circumstance. If you've really been doubting if momentum is happening, if movement is happening, you've really been questioning this connection or questioning yourself. And this can really tie into signs and synchronicities that you're getting, things you're feeling energetically and sensing, picking up on intuitively. All of these really being these confirmation to continue with that, to release doubt, to release hesitation. Hold fast to your faith and your inner knowing that miracles can happen, change can happen. Trust in what you are sensing and feeling, and open yourself up to receive the best possible circumstances, the best possible outcome, as unlikely as it may seem. Open yourself up to the possibility that drastic and dramatic change can occur in this circumstance, that somebody who might have been blind to this connection before now sees. They now have vision. They now are in a place of readiness. They have done this work on themselves, to get to this place of preparedness where they can meet you and sustain a vibration with you that opens the door to a new possibility in this circumstance. If you've been doing work to release a lot of, maybe residual heartbreaks in your life, or kind of things that were triggered by this circumstance, kind of some issues surrounding, rejection or abandonment, and you've been working on these things, you've been implementing, kind of self-help practices, or really working to raise your vibration, then you're encouraged to continue with that. It's been experienced by this person energetically. You're both mutually kind of supporting one another in this tandem kind of journey, even from afar, the idea of kind of parallel paths. And so Spirit is encouraging you to continue with what you have established for yourself in terms of meditative practices, in terms of kind of self-help or self-healing or self-love practices, that these are really helping to kind of keep your vibration vibrant and healthy and high, and you are definitely that fixed point on the horizon that this person is rising towards. They're getting stronger and stronger and more confident. They're getting closer and closer to that point of intersection with you. It's almost this idea of kind of, you're right at the end of a major cycle. Don't give up now. Keep going. Keep pressing forward, because there's some drastic and surprising and miraculous and beautiful change on the horizon for you in this circumstance. So I'm going to get some initials for you now, group 3. This can be first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or it could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Okay, we've got E, M, U, D, R, X, J, N, G, T, H, O, C, Y, I, and S. So those are your messages, group 3. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I also sell handmade jewelry, dreamcatchers and suncatchers in my Etsy shop if you're interested in checking any of that out as well. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.